So from Boston, you went to New York, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did things start like? Is this when things started picking up, like stand-up wise, or was it just like I need to change the scenery? This
Yeah,
place
I guess
sucks?
so. In New York, I was still having to teach. I was still very broke, still figuring it out. But in 2014, I started working on this development thing with this production company, and then they had a relationship with Chris Rock, and were attempting to attach him as like an executive on this thing that I was writing. He had zero interest in that, but at the time he was prepping for it's 2015 now. He was prepping for the Oscars.
Yes.
And so they convinced him to come down and see me do stand up with hopes that maybe that would be like the final nudge of like maybe he'll want an EP on this thing. He didn't, but he saw me and consented to have me on his writing staff for that Oscars. And so that sort of was like the first bump that I got to be like, oh, maybe this can be a career and not just open micing and doing bad shows until the day you die.
You made him sound so enthusiastic. He consented.
I think he
was
remains
like, yeah.
unenthusiastic
Really?
about my participation.
So before we jump into the Oscars, that was like your first writing gig, right?
That was
I'm
my
very
first
curious.
ever gig.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I guess
wild.
I had acted in something. I had acted in Clear History, this Larry David HBO
Oh
film.
yeah, that movie. Yeah,
I had like a very small, like 1 minute scene that I got just off of auditioning in Boston, and they shot it in Boston, so it was like a local hire type situation. But that was the first thing that ever paid me enough that I thought like, oh, there is career money inside of this, a real opportunity.
So before we jump into the Oscars, I'm really curious, like during your stand-up time, because I just personally like to ask, like best and worst moment as a stand-up, like sort of coming to be. Maybe best could be like a big accomplishment moment where you're like, oh shit, I could actually probably do this as a career. And worst moment, just the worst shit that ever happened. Worst shit that could have ever possibly happened to you. Yeah.
The best I'd say I got to do my first TV set was for Adam Devine's house party, which they shot in Hawaii that year.
Damn.
And so they flew us all to Honolulu and had us on this like sexy ass resort. And we did like whatever it was, 5 to 7 minutes in front of this Hawaiian audience of like beautiful, vaguely brown people. And it just was awesome. And like all the euphoria you think you're gonna feel from like doing stand up on television, it's the most sort of like high in the moment that I think I've felt, even probably to this day. Just because, your first time is always gonna have like a weird extra little flavor to it, but like that was beautiful and like remains like a fond memory in my brain. And worst moment is all the other times.
Every single other time that it's ever
No,
existed.
I got booed off stage one
Whoa.
time very early on. This dude that I like was, you team up in stand up sometimes, and like this dude that like he was an open micer, I'm an open micer. We like go to open mics together and like figure out shows we could pop on, whatever. And he took me to this show on the south side of Chicago that like it was I think it was called the Checkerboard Lounge or something like that. And he took me there, convinced the dude to like let me do 5 minutes with him. He was gonna go up after I went up, and I went up, and the room probably sits 200 people. There are 18 people scattered in it. And specifically, one of the like tables of people is also another performer who's a dude dressed in all white and wearing a crown. Like he has on like an all white linen suit, and he has a crown on and sunglasses. And he's gonna perform like 3 acts after me. He's a rapper. And,
okay. I was like, is that his like bit? Is like,
nah, it would have been funny if it was a bit.
Like,
he meant it, and I couldn't make fun of it.
Oh
you know
shit!
what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Or at least I didn't have the confidence to then. And so I went up with my regular ass act, and they hated it. And a dude that was sitting at the bar, not even facing the stage, he was watching an NBA game from the back of the room.
Jeez.
He's like staring at the game at the bar, and I'm on stage. I'm like 2 minutes in, bombing hard, and he doesn't even turn around. He's just still watching the game, and he just goes, "Boo, nigga, boo,
Oh my God.
boo." And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go.
That's crazy.
Yeah.